Welcome to Boomer and Senior Travel. I'm your host, Debbie Gerber. Flowers are one of my favorite things. If my husband can give me anything that makes me happy, it's flowers. I love to have a bouquet of flowers on my desk, on my table. I would have them all over if I could. And he thinks I have an entire botanical gardens for myself at home. Not quite true. We are going to visit the Kirstenbosch National Botanical Gardens in Cape Town. One of the most beautiful places, I think, one of the most beautiful botanical gardens I've been to. I would tell you to allow at least 2 to 3 hours. It is quite a walk. It is on a smooth path if you need to have assistance or a wheelchair. It goes all the way in and out all over these gardens. It is beautiful. They have all kinds of really rare flowers and plants that you probably won't see anywhere else. They've got art in the gardens as well as sculptures, and there are restaurants. There is a little bookstore. It is a complete, like I said, botanical gardens, what you would expect if you went there. You go from section to section. The gardens have several sections of them. My favorite were the rare plants, the ones that were rare and hard to find. They had on display some of the portia flowers. They were huge. If you held them in your hand, you could barely cup them. They were so big. There was also this giant, looked like a pineapple tree. It was a lot, maybe double or triple as tall as I was, and then the pineapple was at least as tall as I am. That was quite a thing. That was one of my favorite things I saw. I loved the little flowers too. There was one called White Carpet. I just took a picture of the flower because I thought the flower itself was so beautiful. This botanical gardens would be a photographer's dream. You would just love going and taking pictures because there's all different kinds of flowers and vegetation. There are birds. I love these little things. I still don't know what they're called. I think there's some type of a pheasant, or at least they look like a pheasant, kind of. But I love them. They have the little polka dots on them, and as they move, they almost shimmer because those dots just move with them. They are really neat. There was a whole pond, and around it were all different kinds of ducks that would, the kinds of birds that would naturally hang out around the water. Some of the flowers looked like things that we have on ground cover in our yard at home. This is the little pink one, is one that looks just like a flower that grows as a ground cover in my front yard. You've got the beautiful bird of paradise. Then you've got these things that look like peacock feathers. I've never seen anything that grows up that looks like this. Looks just like the end of a peacock feather. And white, these look like little clusters of ice crystals or something. I mean, you have all kinds of imaginations when you see these. It makes me wonder if when God created these, what kind of imagination he was going through at the time. They're so varied and so beautiful. And then, of course, there's the giant calla lily. What could be more beautiful than a pure white calla lily? It's gorgeous. These birds were really funny, walking around with their little long beaks and picking at little insects in the ground. Again, lots of different birds and flowers. My favorite sculpture in the gardens was one by Dylan Lewis, and it shows movement. He works in clay, which of course makes me love it even more because I love working in clay. But this is evolution. I mean, this is just animals and, how they work, because they do get chased. They do get eaten for food. And you have to remember that when you're in South Africa and you're going, especially usually if you're there, you're going on a safari at some point, and you look at the animals and you're, oh, so cute. But there is a pattern of life, and I just love this. It's all movement and motion, and you almost expect it to move. One of my favorite sculptures there. I could not believe how huge some of these cactuses were. They were huge and gorgeous, and then flowers. We have cactuses, but I don't see them flowering very often. And these have these huge, huge flowers that come up off of them, and just upwards to the sky. It's almost feels like impossible for them to hold those flowers up. I like the cactus family. There's some of them that I really like to look at, but also like I told you before, I love watching and looking for things that are rare, that may not be around if they weren't being cultivated and kept alive. This is one of them. It's called the silverleaf spur flower. It's one of the rare ones in the garden. This is another one, Dehoop Buchu. Dehoop Buchu. They say it's rare because it gets wiped out by wildfires and also by being eaten to the ground and then destroyed. So another rare flower I got to see. Another rare one was this. Umbashi aloe. We have these teeny little aloe plants at home, but look at this. These have huge leaves, and they say that they're very rare, but people have a hard time getting to them because of where they're at. Otherwise, they'd probably all be gone. Thanks for joining me at the Kirstenbosch Botanical Gardens in Cape Town, South Africa. Come to our website, see more of South Africa, as well as a lot of different countries that I cover and have been there, so you'll see pictures of the actual places. I will try to give you some tips and hints on things that make it easier and more fun for you to travel to these locations. Come join us at www.boomerandseniortravel.tv.